Alright, so my attempts to be able to record everything that has happened is a little bit more challenging than I originally thought. So I'm going to take the opportunity to record what I'm doing while I'm like a catch-up session while I'm driving here. So I know from the last video that came out that it was kind of confusing, and the scenario that was actually happening was it was a governmental issue along with a world church issue. Nicholas, Archbishop Nicholas, got involved with Arnold, President Arnold, and there was like this. I think I read before some of the letter that was sent over that we were able to retrieve through the magical realm. That was all one scenario that was happening prior to last video. It really was something that was all going on, and it kind of ties into the last video. And the reason why it does is we started getting text messages from a person who called him. He basically was saying that he was a CIA agent. But this so-called CIA agent was, you know, he was like sympathetic to us. He said the right types of things, which made me suspicious. I mean, whenever anybody says the right thing at the right time, you know, if it's too good to be true, it's often not true. But, you know, the first day was decent enough. He didn't go overboard with things. So we were like, okay, maybe he's really, you know, out there to help us out. Well, it went on, and Damien was we found out that Damien was a genie. That's what most Americans call him, so I'm going to go with that. There's an actual name that's more accurate, but we all know genies, right? And Damien tried to assassinate the mother goddess, and some of my kids were actually staying at her place at the time, which it didn't go well for him. The giants that we had contracted out to help us quickly jumped in and subdued him. I guess it took nearly all 14 giants, and they took him to an interrogation place to try to get some information out of him. This guy Damien, like I said, was a genie, and he was obviously like a contract killer. One of the things he did was, out of fear for the Mother Goddess's incarnation, he used a very advanced spell that's very costly to create, to freeze her up so she couldn't move and even get to her phone barely. She had to work very hard to get herself even to the phone to call, to see if there was anything, you know, that we could do from where we were at. We're about almost an hour away from each other at this point. She's selling her home, moving closer, but at this point. So the issue was, I mean, he was really intent on finishing things over there. He was going to finish her off and take out whoever else was in the home. Well, the giants got involved and stopped him before he was able to do any real harm, aside from the psychological and, you know, traumatizing one, right? Anyways, we and then found out through these chains of events that there was another mystic being. Now this came from the CIA guy. Remember, this guy is texting us. We don't know his name, and it's random. And he started texting almost everyone in the group. He's kind of fluting around to a few people. He went to my phone a couple times. He went to my phone a couple times. He texted Beauty's phone a couple times. I think he even texted Knight's phone. And he seemed to be like looking for information about Damien. Just like saying it in such a way like, oh, I want to warn you guys, he's loose. There's a problem. He never came back. Be careful. You may want to get yourself into hiding. But he never returned, so we're thinking he went rogue. Just be careful. If you guys know anything about this, I mean, I don't want you to get hurt, you know, kind of like subtle hints that he wants to know what happened to Damien. That was a big thing to me, that he went around asking. to find out what happened to Damien. You know, it's coverable to a degree. Like, let's say that he was really concerned about us, if he was genuine. I guess it was coverable to a degree. It's enough that we could say, we don't trust him and we're going to keep an eye on it. But we're going to still talk to him, right? And then it just started getting worse. Damien was then, the Giants had killed Damien. So they interrogated him, didn't get much from him. They killed him. They gave us a stone with his, soul in it. Which I was able to, which I don't condone unless it's dire circumstances, that you utilize a soul for any kind of spell. That's a form, it's much like necromancy, except necromancy is to, divine the future. But using soul stones or souls in magic, it's extremely painful to the being that you're using in the magic. So it's very dark magic. However, in this scenario, the stone he was in was already causing him pain. The Giants did not have any mercy on him at all. In their minds, someone tries to kill the gods and goddesses, they deserve to be in a lot of pain. So I got a hold of Death, the god, and told him, hey, look, I'm going to be using him in a ritual to acquire more information about Arnold's connection to the Archbishop. And I told Death, I want you to come down and just wait for him to be released, because as soon as I do it, he's probably going to have already gone through a lot of pain in interrogation. He's still going through pain while in the rock, and then the pain of being taken out of the rock. I'm going to need you to counsel him, help him, try and explain to him the scenario, what's happening, and then let him choose the god he wants to go spend eternity with. And so Death agreed upon that, and I worked with Apollo, and we utilized his soul. Again, like I said, I don't condone it, but in this circumstance, he was already in a massive amount of pain. I had to get him out of the stone. No matter what I was going to do, he was going to be in pain. So I might as well get something out of it as well. I know sometimes the circumstances you're putting in are not the way you want them. That's life, right? Well, obviously he was released. Death took over, and I haven't heard anything since from Death. So I'm sure he's counseled him and got him back to the place he needs to be to choose his eternal home. At any rate, we did get some information back about the connection between Arnold and the Archbishop. But during the same time that we got that information, and the information just confirmed that Arnold had possession of an item that Pluto used to trap souls. So this item was offered to Nicholas, so that Nicholas had incentive to help Arnold. That was the item that was offered up for the whole scenario, that he was being contracted by Arnold to help him in his endeavors. Well, not long after, the CIA agent texts our group and letting us know that we can be at ease, that the second mystic being that he had been talking about before was, they called him S, the letter S, and the word second. That's second. That being went out, killed Damien, and brought Damien back to him. Back to the CIA, I guess. So it was like, oh, a relief. But then it was one of those things where that's just too good to be true. As soon as I go, because at the time I was asking the Giants, we got the stone back from the spirit of, or the soul of this Damien. We had all this, stuff, and I had been asking the Giants, what can I do to protect our group for the future? And it just seemed way too coincidental, too quick to be like, oh, all of a sudden, oh yeah, I have a cure, I have a way to solve your issue, and it's all fixed. Yeah, like I said, it is too good to be true. It's too good to be true. So I just decided, after a conversation with the group and some, comments were made enough that it spurred in me to think, why don't we just ask the Giants if they still have the body? Well, we did, and they do. So it boiled down to this guy is just full of it, and he's causing issues. And the whole text message thing, all of that was a game to get him into our inner circle. So I quickly utilized some powers that we had. We had fortunately gotten some powers together, and I utilized those to try and to retrieve any information that connects Nicholas to this person texting us. Now this guy writes back, and he's all, well, I let that one slip, or something like that, something similar. And he just made the comment, I'm burning this phone, ditching it, don't bother trying to get a hold of me, something like that. Basically, he knew he was caught, it was over, and he's done with it. But during the time of us waiting, I ended up getting another document. This one was from the World Church has their own sort of I don't know, like personal security guard or military guard. Not really military, just like a personal security guard. It reminds me of the British royalties, those guys with the fuzzy hats, the Queen and King's royalty guard, kind of just almost for show, but probably not 100% for show. A lot of it is. These guys wrote a letter to a being called, I'm not gonna try to pronounce it. It reminds me of Tutana or Torre. It's like a Tutaro, or I'll get it later. And he was commissioned by Archbishop Nicholas to take two other beings, come and assassinate us. And they were provided with 3 stones of Apep. Not 100% clear on what those are yet. I have scholar researching anything that could refer to stones of Apep. And in the letter, it describes that between the dates of the 17th and the 21st, that's the open window where they can get away with killing gods. Now, normally, if a mystic being tries to kill a god, the Father God will step in, unless we're wearing our hoods or doing something within a hidden hood. Then the gods can't see us, so how can they step in, right? But in a normal scenario, they're not allowed to just jump in and just kill people. However, it's obvious to me now that something to do with those 3 stones of Apep was giving them the ability during the winter solstice and the conjunction of the planets to be able to get away with it. And after the 21st, it's clear in the letter that this being has to return back to the World Church Guard. And once they do that, after the 21st, everything is basically clear. There's nothing they can do. There's no more breaking the rules at this point. And this goes along with what the Giants had promised us. And that had to do also with the fact that it gives us, according to the Giants, about 3 months in that area. The Mother Goddess made a good point that would probably line us up with the equinox. We're getting close to the equinox at that point. So it might be that they were planning on utilizing the winter solstice now, and then the equinox. So about 3 months from now is their next opportunity, according to the Giants. So everything panned out, everything's back to normal. The Giants have left. We are protected normally like we are by the gods. They will step in if a missing being, they can't step in if humans do shit, but the rules are rules. Mystic beings are not allowed to associate, not allowed to get involved with humans, and not allowed to become physically entangled. And so the gods have a legal right to step down and stop them from doing any harm. Like I said, with humans, humans are allowed to touch each other, talk to each other, see each other. So there's no legal right for the gods to jump in at that point. So my only concern is Arnold now. It could be the World Church a little bit with Nicholas, that he might try and do a physical thing. But with the situation as it is, I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to continue to do it in a way that fits their MO. And that, so far with Nicholas and the group of the World Church in the past, has always been you trying to utilize spiritual things. They are a spiritual institution, so they're really not equipped for tactical assaults. And it's not likely that Arnold is just going to come after us, because the whole point of this was to give Arnold incriminating evidence against his opposition. And he was going to use us as a scapegoat, planting the evidence on us so that he could get his political game and agenda ahead. We were chosen, in his mind, out of random, because the list was given to him, along with his political opponent was on the list. And several other political opponents and his political allies were all on this list. We just happened to be mixed in a bunch, and my opinion is they just threw us in there. The World Church with the hope that Arnold would do something also, and that things would have worked out. And because the letter between Arnold and the Nicholas, and the letter between Arnold and Nicholas was basically dated in 2000, and I think it was 2019, a year after Arnold was elected president, and he started writing letters to Nicholas, or this letter to Nicholas, asking for aid in, he needed help with his political stuff, all that stuff, that bullshit, right? Anyways, that's how it went. This is where we're at. So the likelihood of Arnold coming after us now is he's probably just going to redo a plan to work on his political opponents. He's not going to waste time on us now that there's no incriminating evidence planted on us. There's no way for us to benefit him. Why is he going to waste resources? So I'm not so concerned about that right now, unless something changes. The World Church, I'm not concerned about. They've lost their opportunity to get away with it, so they're not going to do it. And we have 3 months to plan ahead to find out what the World Church will do next, what Nicholas's plans are going to be next. And that's where we end up. And that's the situation we're in. So this catches everyone up. I'm almost in town now. It's a little bit longer than the videos I normally do, because last night and yesterday morning, all through the day, and the night before was an extremely hectic situation with an awful lot happening, a lot of conversations between us and the leprechaun. The tree elf even helped to explain things that he had seen. I have some video of that stuff going on. I'll probably upload that as soon as I have time to, edit it and, work on it. And then that's the scenario. So you're all caught up. Hopefully things are going to calm down. We get back to some basic stuff with the gods and goddesses, and back to some basic life of acquiring items that we need to get, and some more quests type things would be nice. All right, good luck. Wish me luck, and I'll be in touch.